Normally we stand in tribute because a member of the legislature has passed. Today, we're making a special exception, for the subject of our conversation is still with us. I bet Mr. Stephen Harper is a little jealous today. I don't believe he got a send-off or tribute like this. So, as you know, Tim Hudak and I have adjoining ridings. We represent different parts of my hometown of Stony Creek. Tim was born and raised in the same area he lives in today. He started out in Fort Erie and now lives just half an hour away in Wellandport. Tim actually worked a couple of summers on the border at Fort Erie. Despite his experience on the immigration front line, not once have I heard him talk about building a wall and getting the Americans to pay for it. Tim has been here so long that his riding has had 3 name changes and shaped twice differently. But his constituents over the years obviously have a lot of respect for him because they've sent him here 6 times. What I like about Tim is that he's very approachable and he tries very hard to avoid personal attacks in debates. He's respectful, courteous, and sticks to the issues, which is an admirable quality in this place. Anytime I've attended a cross-party event with Tim, he mentioned my attendance there, which is a courtesy I've always appreciated. He's very sociable, and we saw sides of Tim's humor come out in a very funny way each year at the annual Spring Fling. And I've had a real soft spot for Tim because he named one of his daughters Miller. How can you argue with a guy like that? Tim and I have had been political opponents many times, but we also have been good neighbors. From time to time, he asked my advice about dealing with unions. He'd take it, and then do the exact opposite. Every time. Tim was actually one of the first members of this legislature to congratulate me after my election in 2007. He sent a poinsettia to my new office after it opened the month after my election. Steelworkers aren't used to getting poinsettias, but I really appreciated it. It was a thoughtful gesture, the sort of thing you remember in your political career. Some of you might be surprised to hear this, but Tim is both a conservative and conservationist. We worked together as neighbors very successfully a few years ago to protect a natural treasure in the Stony Creek area called the Aramosa Karst. Tim and I introduced a bill to protect the feeder lands from development and to direct what they be used for a conservation area. The government members were rather alarmed to see a steelworker and a PC leader teaming up. They didn't quite know what to make of it and how to handle it, but eventually, possibly in fear, the government heeded our call and leased the lands to the Hamilton Conservation Authority for a nominal fee. Thanks in part to Tim's advocacy, the Aramosa Karst is now protected so that future generations can enjoy it. And again, speaking of Tim as a neighbor, one of the last things he did as an MPP was a small, nonpartisan action to help the people of Niagara and Hamilton regions. He signed his name on a letter I sent to the federal government last month in support of Hamilton and Haldeman steelworkers and pensioners, asking for a public inquiry into the shenanigans at U.S. Steel and Canada, and calling for a comprehensive reform of Canada's bankruptcy and solvency processes, including CCAA. Thank you, Tim. That meant a lot to the thousands of people I represent, and Tim represents. At a provincial level, Mike Harris made Tim a member of cabinet at the tender age of 31. He was younger than half the staffers here. Mr. Harris must have been looking at that map upside down, because he made this young man from one of the southernmost ridings in the province of Ontario Minister of the North. Go figure. Despite his geographic disadvantage, Tim was a respected cabinet minister, and he quickly earned a promotion to Minister of Tourism, Culture and Recreation, which makes more sense to me since he's from near Niagara Falls. During Tim's years as PC leader, I've always questioned his advice he got just before elections. If he ever gets back into politics, I'd be happy to go over his menu there and neighbor and give him proposals to look at. I'll probably lead you in no, maybe not the right way. But now, after a long career in this building, Tim is now entering the working world. He may find out someday what it's like to have a bad boss. But he doesn't have to worry just yet, because he's still the boss. Tim, you have had haven't had a real job in 21 years, since your days at Walmart. Another good union company. The world's going to be tough out there, buddy, but I'm confident you'll be up for the task. By the way, Tim told me that one of the first things he's going to do in his new position is to create 100,000 jobs in the real estate business. I'm sure that was part of your interview pitch. Thanks, Tim. On behalf of the Ontario New Democratic Caucus, I want to thank Tim Hudak for his many years of public service as a member of the provincial parliament. I wish Tim, his wife Deb, and their 2 young daughters, Maitland and Miller, a bright future and a happy and successful journey together as Tim embarks on his new chapter of his life. As you heard me say in this house many times, Tim Hudak, wow.
For the tribute, the member, the Chief Government Whip.
Thank you very much.